Hey guys, my name is Alexis Caesar and this is my first YouTube video. Today we're going to be making red velvet cupcakes for Mother's Day. What we're going to go ahead and do first is we're going to go ahead and set the oven to 350 degrees for preheat, which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, while that's going, we're going to go ahead and get the rest of our ingredients ready to go. I already have mine all set out and prepped, but what I need to do now is go ahead and do the dry ingredients and then the wet ingredients separate. So what you're gonna do first is you're gonna go ahead and get a bowl, which I already have right here. What we need is about 2.5 cups of cake flour. Before you put your cake flour in your bowl, you want to go ahead and make sure you always level it out, whether it's with your hand and in the bag or with a knife or spoon, just clean cut on top. Again, clean cut. And I need about 1/2 cup more. Again, just leave 1/2 cup more because I only have 2 cups in right now. Okay, once you get the flour in, the next step what you'll want to do is go ahead and get the rest of your dry ingredients. So your rest of your dry ingredients include baking powder, baking soda, and cacao powder in this case, since we're doing red velvet. It's also important to note that dry ingredients do not include sugar. That's going to be a wet ingredient. In this case, that is. Okay, so for the next part, we're going to do 1/3 cup of cacao powder, unsweetened here. And again, I didn't mention this before, but the ingredients and the directions to this recipe will be listed in the description below. And again, make sure you're always leveling out your ingredients. So about 1/3 cup of cacao, unsweetened cacao powder. Next, we're gonna need baking powder or baking soda. You're gonna need both, so it doesn't matter which one you add first. And we'll need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So we have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And again, make sure you're leveling all your ingredients. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add the salt. We need about 1/8 teaspoon of salt, preferably sea salt or fine sea salt, or you can do kosher if you'd like. But in this case, we're gonna do fine because that's what I have on hand today. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna mix the dry ingredients. Oh, that's the oven. We're gonna go ahead and mix the dry ingredients well. If you don't wanna make a mess, I would recommend doing it over the sink. You wanna make sure you mix out all the clumps so that when you're mixing the wet ingredient part to the dry ingredients, it's an even consistency and it doesn't bake wrong. Okay. We're gonna set that off to the side while we get the dry ingredients. Okay, so we're gonna be doing our wet ingredients, not dry ingredients. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our eggs and our oil, and we're gonna do a We're gonna mix that together first before we add the rest of the sugar and other parts of the ingredients. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and mix these ingredients. So I'm gonna use my stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixer if you have one, whichever one you prefer. I'm gonna use my stand mixer, which I have in the corner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and crack 2 eggs into the bowl. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add half a cup or 1.5 cups of oil. So I have my measuring cup right here, and it's canola oil. Again, I would prefer canola oil for baking, or vegetable oil. Vegetable oil has more of a neutral baseline, but in this case, we're going to use canola oil. Okay, so my camera cut out, but all I did basically was I finished adding the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. I did that in about 4 small batches on a low speed. Now that it's done, this is what it should look like. This nice deep red color. You want to go ahead and make sure you scrape down the sides to make sure that all of the dry ingredients are properly incorporated. Now what you want to do next is, my camera cut out again, but what I did was I put the rest of the batter into a 12 tray cupcake ramecan, and they're in the oven for 20 minutes. Okay, once the cupcakes are done, we're gonna go ahead and get the icing ready for them. Okay, the cupcakes are done. We went ahead and we put them on a wire rack behind me. So this is what they're looking like. We're gonna go ahead and let them cool completely on the wire rack for probably about anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes, and then we're gonna go ahead and finish the rest of the icing. Okay guys, we're going to completely disregard the complete time change here, but we're just gonna roll with it, all right? So don't mind the lighting, I apologize. We're gonna continue what we're doing. So the cupcakes are now finished. They have been finished for, I'm not gonna say how long they've been finished, they've just been finished. This is what we're working with. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the, frosting. I'm gonna go ahead and get the frosting going. So for that, what we need is about 2.5 cups of confection sugar, otherwise known as powdered sugar, about half a stick or half a cup of unsalted butter, 8 ounces of cream cheese, room temperature softened, and about a teaspoon of lemon juice, and then another teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, so as you see, I have switched over to a voiceover, and what I'm doing first is I'm getting the cream cheese and I'm simply unwrapping it and getting it ready for the bowl. Okay, now I am cutting open the powdered sugar bag, but then I decided I didn't want to do the powdered sugar first, so I put it off to the side. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and get the butter melted before I put it into the cream cheese, because I want to make sure that that's nice and soft, as well as pre-mixing the cream cheese before I add the melted butter, just so I know that there aren't going to be any clumps when I actually do add them all together to do the final mix. Okay, now I went off to go and melt the butter in the microwave, which you'll see me come back with right now. And then I went off to the side to go and get another spatula to finish scraping the rest of the butter out, because we do not waste ingredients over here. After I put it off to the side, you will see me mess with the lemon, and I'm just rolling it out to loosen up the juices a little bit. And I'm not cutting a complete half of the lemon because I don't need it. It was a very large lemon, so I only did a little bit. And when you're squeezing your lemon, I would recommend holding it upside down and squeezing it, just so that when the seeds come out, they fall in your hand rather than the actual bowl. Now I'm actually going to get the powdered sugar, and as you see, I am leveling it out, which is what you should always do with your ingredients. And again, this was about 2.5 cups of powdered sugar. And then I put it off to the side to get it out of the way because we are not messy cooks here. And again, I did measure just a little bit with my eyes. I didn't need a measuring teaspoon. Now I'm actually mixing the ingredients together, which you will see in a second that my hand mixer actually unplugs itself. So I go back and I replug it back in before I finish doing what I'm doing. You want to make sure that you're just getting all of the ingredients together. Mix, clockwise, counterclockwise, whichever is your preference here. I am no stickler on that for this instance. Now once you're done, I go ahead and I finish mixing the bowl, scraping down the sides, making sure that all the powdered sugar and all the rest of the ingredients are thoroughly incorporated. And then this is the moment I realized I could not find my piping bag, so I decided to make my own because I am my own MacGyver. So I went and did cut off a little piece of a Ziploc bag and I put it over something to hold it down. And as you see, I'm just going and scraping in the cream cheese frosting into the bag. And once I have finished getting all of the frosting into the bag, you'll see that I pull it up and then just push it down to the bottom of the bag that has the hole, as you see I'm doing here. Okay, now it's actually time to get frosting on the cupcakes. And as you see what I'm doing right here, I'm just doing one at a time. And be mindful here that the amount of frosting you use on each cupcake may or may not impact the amount of frosting you have for your last couple of cupcakes. Now, I did run out a little bit of frosting, but that's okay. You can always go back and make more depending on how big your cupcakes are or how small your cupcakes are. And of course, we got to finish with our cinematic montage of our red velvet cupcakes. And that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. And if you liked, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And take a look at my Instagram page I have listed in the bio. And I will see you in the next video.